Oh, yeah, to grow, yeah, those were the days.
Yeah.
Okay, are we rolling? Cameras on?
That's good.
Red light?
Yeah, we're going.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, everyone, and to our lightly filled boardroom and to those online, welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors, Tuesday, September 10th. Version, thank you, and roll call, please.
Director Coverdale,
Here.
Director Feldman,
Here.
Director Mueller,
Here.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yeah, here.
and President Michelson.
Present. And for the record, we should just confirm that we know Director Reynolds is participating remotely pursuant to AB 2449 under the Just Cause basis because he's caring for his parents. And is anybody with you, Director Reynolds?
No, it's just me.
All right, and just as a reminder, you need to be with us both by audio and video for the entire meeting.
I have the facial lighting so that I'm not in a shadow. If I seem sort of blinded, that's why.
All right, we'll keep tabs on you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you.
September 11th.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow.
We just did the flag.
Yeah, and Director Mueller does bring up a good point. Tomorrow, I believe, will be the 23rd.
Anniversary.
Yeah, anniversary of September 11th. So we all have that in our heart tomorrow, and we do this meeting in honor of those that left us on that day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment. I see no speakers. Yeah. Please. I see no speaker sheets. And do we have anyone remotely carrying to comment? Otherwise, John, was it your month to do the funding?
Yes, it was. Correct. I did review it and I just had a couple brief comments on the financial page with the text there. 8824 Pacific Gas and Electric was a $60,267.22. And then also further down on the report here, 88, same thing. So the first one was void. It was an error.
Okay,
So-
good for
So
catching that.
we just have one PG&E there, and thank you staff for helping me get that straightened out there. And also the First Foundation, Public Finance, that's some of our funding where we borrow from. Thank you. And then you look at our water bill from SFPUC is $321,108. So, and PG&E, everything in the cost of taking our customers to provide them with good, fresh drinking water, and water doesn't come cheap.
Yeah, we too receive a water bill. And it's on the same paper stock that the homeowner gets. You'd expect it, to come in in a gold leaf envelope or something, but no, it's just a few more zeros. So thank you very much. Okay, been reviewed.
I move we approve the consent calendar as
Awesome.
presented.
I will second that. So please.
Okay, Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
and President Michelson.
Yes, thank you. Meetings attended, director comments, anything going on in the aqua world? I have a Bosco meeting next week, so nothing to report there. Anyone else?
I have one.
Okay.
So I will have Aqua Region 5, I will go to Watsonville, to Pajaro Valley to be reviewing the issues they went through during the floods and all the troubles they had down there. And also would like to thank staff there in Carson with the maintenance of our fire hydrants in our area there. So thank you very much, staff, for the professional work to at least take the old dirt and dust and actually paint it the right color, because it was orange, I guess, from the original old days, and now it's beautiful yellow mark that identified fire hydrant. Thank you. And staff.
Okay, thank you. So moving to general business. I know recently we authorized DN Tanks to construct a 2.1 million gallon concrete tank for us. And now we need to go issue a contract for construction oversight, construction management.
Yes.
Mary, please.
So given the complexity of the project, staff recommends that the district engage a construction management firm for the project. The construction manager manages the contract documents and contractor communications. The contract manager is on site most days doing field observations, and they're managing inspections. They also serve as the liaison between the district, the contractor, and subcontractors and engineers, and often mediates issues as identified. So the district interviewed 4 firms, and we recommend that we hire Fryer and Loretta, the engineering firm that served as the construction manager on the recently completed Nunes Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project. And as a reminder, this was a 3-year project that came in with only 4% change orders. So, and we thank Fryer and Loretta for helping us with that. So Fryer and Loretta has also served as a construction manager on many other projects, including the $6 million 2012-2013 Denniston Water Treatment Plant Upgrade Project. We had a generator project. And then they also have served us on many engineering projects. So we think we have a good team. On the team, Fryer and Loretta is included a person by the name of Tom Bloomer, who is a structural engineer who has worked on over 350 DN tanks. He used to work for DN Tanks, so he will be a technical consultant to the project. So on the line, we actually, I welcome Jeff Tarantino, who is the principal at Fryer and Loretta, and Jeff, I don't know if you want to say a few words, or if we have any questions for Jeff as well.
Yeah, just again, wanted to say thank you to staff and for the board for continuing this relationship between FNL and the district. We've enjoyed working with you all for the, it's 15 years. And I will say, just in fairness, Josh and I were employees of EKI during the Denniston project. So although it was our specific experience, it was with our time at EKI. But again, thank you very much, and happy to answer any questions if there were any.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
I just have a very brief comment for the public to understand in our customer base that we are replacing a plant and tanks that were built 1950, 1955, and 1963. So we all realize it's time to look for the next 100 years.
Good. Ken?
So I'd like to authorize the general manager to enter into a contractual agreement with the, whoops, am I on the wrong page over? Skip ahead. Yeah, I'm one ahead.
That's all right.
Into an agreement with Fryer and Loretta, Inc. for construction management services for the Carter Hill pre-stressed concrete tank and seismic upgrades project for not to exceed $881,700.
So I will second that on the condition that the cost overruns do not exceed 4%.
Look at his expression.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, Josh will be in charge of that spot since he's not here. I'll put Josh in charge of that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Okay, Director Coverdale.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to encourage that. I think 4% is a little high. To tell you the truth.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
and President Michelson.
Yes. Okay, the next one is kind of shows how long us fossils have been around. I remember when we went to hypochlorite for generating liquid chlorine. That was a big step for us as opposed to bringing in a very caustic material, chlorine itself. So it was 12 years ago that Sean kind of walked me through it on at San Vicente when we installed it. So now I guess we need a redundant system. So Mary, tell us about it.
Yeah, Nunes.
Or Nunes.
So this is a project that we actually had Friar Loretta help us with in terms of the design. So back in August 2023, the board approved giving us, for us to purchase a second hypochlorite generator unit as a redundant system. We received the unit in April. And so it's time to install it. So we did go out to bid, and we had one response, and it was GSW Construction. And their bid was $184,200. We actually, staff went and with Friar Loretta met with GSW on site and went through what we planned and and design, and looked at ways how we could bring some value engineering. And so in the end, we agreed that GSW lowered the price to $150,000.
Good job, staff.
So
Okay, Jenna.
Oh, yeah, this-
Listen to your job.
It's like Groundhog Day. I'd like to authorize the general manager to enter into a contractual agreement with GSW Construction, Inc. for the Nunes Water Treatment Plant hypochlorite room improvements project for a total cost of $155,600.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Hey, Director Coverdale,
Yes.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Yes.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
President Michelson.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
This has a long lead time. You ordered it last August,
It's been sitting there a long time.
9 months. No, I just. Good point.
takes time.
It's been well protected. I saw it. It was covered in a safe place. I saw where it was stored.
So the next one authorizes the general manager to enter into agreement for the Denison Water Treatment Plant contact clarifier hatch replacement and tank coatings. And if anyone has any question, I would certainly yield to Glenn because he knows a lot more about contact clarifiers than I do. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So I actually did go out and visit this and look at it, and what's it's actually, I don't know, for those of you who remember the space shuttle with the O-ring failure, but we
call.
yeah we the hatches have had an O-ring that's really small and really hard to seal. And so as the clarifier is it's no longer new, they just leak. And so they've had to be repaired. And now the correct solution is to repair them. We went over the design. They're going to just replace the hatches. I really like the plan that the staff has come up with to do. And I think it's going to be smooth, fast, and efficient. And it blends into repainting the tank, which obviously you'd want to repair it before you paint it. So I think the staff's done a good job in my review of it, and I was really pleased. So I'd encourage that we move forward on this.
Hey, thank you.
I will say that, again, Friar and Loretta were instrumental in this project and helped us with the design. This is a little complex, as you see, because there are 3 different aspects to this project. So the first involves the replacement of the contact clarifier hatches. And this work has to be done by a welder who is certified to work with pressurized vessels. So we have Lefevre Welding, we've used before. They are located in San Mateo, and they actually worked with staff, Brian and Loretta, and the hatch fabricator to come up with the optimal design. So given the specialized work, we are requesting that the board waive the competitive bidding requirements of Resolution 2018-09 in order to procure the services of Lefevre Welding. The second piece of this is the coating of the contact clarifiers, which includes some interior coating where the welds are, and then the exterior, as well as the exteriors of the coagulation tank and 3 filters. So these tanks have not been painted for 20 plus years, and they show they show a lot of signs of they need a paint job. So we did go out to bid on this project. We received 2 bids, with Euro Style Management Inc. being the winning bid at $173,000. Friar and Loretta staff reviewed the bid documents, and we had a discussion with the coding inspector, and everything seems to be in order. We want to note that this project does include some lead abatement, so it has to be tinted and for air quality purposes. So that's why it may seem like the cost is a little on the high side, but it is something that there are procedures to getting these tanks painted. The third piece of this is actually engineering services during construction, and Friar and Loretta proposed to use the services of a coding inspector who's been helping us with these projects, and BACC, Bay Area Coding Contractors, and that's about $33,000 for their services, and then there's a remaining $7,000 for Friar and Loretta's services just coordinating the project. So these are the 3 items that you need to authorize.
John, do you have something to say?
I do have a comment. Hopefully it won't give me nightmares, this agenda item, because sounding very nautical, 1963 of August in the Bayview Hunter Point shipyard, we young sailors, we were learning all about this hatch stuff and painting and down in the holes, no masks and no ventilation, but we did it. And then going under the Golden Gate Bridge, I didn't realize I got sick on a merry-go-round, so I was pretty seasick for my first few days at sea.
Do you ever get over seasickness?
Well, I haven't been out on a destroyer.
Okay, I'll take a stab. If everyone else, I'll take a stab at reading this. It looks like kind of a mouthful.
These are 3 separate agreements, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this does all 3, and this Fire and Letter manageable.
Yes.
The other 2 guys,
Yes.
they're gonna do management for the $7,000. Okay, so they're the ones who are gonna keep their eyes on this. Okay, good.
Okay, comfortable then, cool. I'd like to authorize the general manager to enter into agreements for the Denison Water Treatment Plant contact clarifier hatch replacement and tanks coating project, including 1, waive the district's procedural requirements in resolution 2016-09 for sealed competitive bids, and authorize an award of contract to a Lefevre Welding Inc. for the contract clarifier hatch replacements for $101,510. 2, authorize award of contract to the Eurostyle Management Inc. for coating and contact clarifiers and other tanks for $173,000 even. And 3, authorize entering into a professional services agreement again with Friar and Loretta for engineering services during construction for a cost of $39,000.
I'll second it.
Okay, moving second.
Hey, Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
President Michelson.
Yes. Okay, the next one is actually pretty near and dear to me, very close to where I grew up, and it's also represents local source, and it's awarding a contract to pump repair service, who we've had a long and I believe a positive history with. So we're really, really happy about this one.
Yes, so I think you said it in a nutshell. So, but we're asking the board to waive the competitive bidding requirements and authorize the district to sole source the services of pump repair services for the well cleaning and rehabilitation. And this, this as Darren will also attest, this will actually should improve our ability to pull water out of the wells this season. So it's very important for us.
How quickly could this be done?
It actually, just a couple of weeks, and we try to do it as close to the pumping season as possible.
Yes, so before this pumping season, I believe. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. That's exactly what I want to hear. Good job. Thank
And
you.
without the siphon pipes really helping us out up there, just to be very honest.
Yeah, no, this is, and then, whatever SFPU decides to do with the dam, I mean, this is really, really critical.
Yeah, but the well fields will actually have a more abundant source.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah,
That's
because
really,
you're going to
really,
be drawing out of the reservoir.
that's
So
what
it'll be
I'm hoping.
very, very productive. It's great.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to recommend that we waive the district's competitive bidding requirement of resolution 2016-09 and authorize the general manager to award a contract to Humpress Repair Service Company, in the future called PRSC, just to make it easier, for the cleaning and rehabilitation of Torrecitos Canyon wells 1, number 3A, and number 4A for $74,441.
Nothing.
Okay, moving second.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
and President Michaelson.
Yes. Okay, well, back in the San Vicente watershed, and in order to secure, our share of, of that water there, we need to have good data, and we need to continue our stream gauging efforts. So at such time, we go for the final permit to draw from that. So,
I got a question about that.
okay.
Did they ever explain or describe the 25% increase in price over last year?
That is due to replacing some aging pressure sensors and level watches.
So it's equipment and labor
Largely, and it will, equipment and labor.
replace them.
And basically, these are, they told us that they'll 6 to 8 year life.
Oh, good.
So,
Yeah, I was just curious. I wasn't, against them, but I was hoping that they weren't a 25% increase in the current inflammatory times.
yeah, I mean, their rates went up, their labor rates went up a little bit, but
Everyone's did, but
Yeah.
25% seemed a little excessive.
So it is hard work, Rick.
I'm glad to hear there's.
Good on that. Thank you.
If I may make a comment, I think now with the state of California looking at San Mateo County for drought future conditions on certain counties in the state, now more than ever, I think very valuable to have our monitoring in place to show that we are getting some local sources.
and we really use this data, and we actually, have to give some of this data to our regulators and so it's been very helpful. So, and for us to have a track record since 2011 with this data, so.
Yeah.
I would go ahead and move on this one.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the general manager to enter into a professional service agreement with Balance Hydrologist Inc. for the water year 2025 stream gauging, groundwater monitoring, and data analyst for the Denison Creek and San Vicente Creek watershed for an estimated time and materials cost of $124,689.
Second.
Okay, moved in second.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Muller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
President Michaels.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, and it looks like we're gonna given a handout for the next item is the recycled water feasibility study.
You have a short presentation.
You can have the rest to pass out.
Okay, you can go to the next slide. So, since the late 1990s, the district has participated in numerous studies with other coastside agencies to pursue recycled water on the coast, and including our work with the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast and its member agencies. So given emerging technologies and climate change and changing regulatory environment, as the water retailer, the district decided to take a fresh look at recycled water on the coastside. So in the summer of 2023, the district contracted with waterworks engineers to conduct a feasibility study. So the goal of the study was to assess the hydrogeology of the region, the technical, regulatory, and permitting requirements, and the economic feasibility to derive and evaluate potential alternatives for water reuse. The focus was to review a range of alternatives, including non-potable reuse, indirect potable reuse, and projects projects with environmental benefits. And actually that we have one more bullet, direct potable reuse as well, so, which was very important to this. So our primary component was a hydrogeologic report that was prepared by Rue Associates to determine if using recycled water for groundwater replenishment or environmental benefits, are feasible options. So in the scope, our study, we looked at the various categories of what we could do. Non-potable reuse would be like fill stations, landscape and agricultural irrigation, skylawn, ocean colony. Indirect would be groundwater replenishment and reservoir augmentation. Direct potable reuse would be doing direct potable reuse that would ultimately get to the Nunes water treatment plant. And then environmental benefits, which may be creek augmentation or wetlands enhancements. And so the key findings and what we with the Rue report, we showed that basically report said that the hydrogeological conditions show limited feasibility of using recycled water for indirect potable reuse and groundwater replenishment, given the low porosity of the soils in the Half Moon Bay Terrace groundwater basin. The slow seepage velocity from percolating or injecting recycled water would result in groundwater mounding, and the water wouldn't go anywhere. So, and then we also have limitations given private wells in the service area. Surface water is difficult due to water rights on local creeks, and we can't impair water quality of irrigation water. So this chart is a summary of the what Waterworks found. Basically, a lot of these alternatives could be options, but we just really don't have a lot of demand for them. So, it could be something in the future, but they're, limited demand today. So, and basically the key finding is that most of these items are no, and direct coastal reuse at Nunes needs further study. So.
Yeah, I think one needs to be clear that this was driven. We had John Muller and Ken Coverdale who were driven this project and program along with staff, of course, to come to terms with this. Essentially, I would say that it was taking the bull by the horns. We have for some 25 years been rolling around this thing, trying to find ways to defend and to confirm and to justify any number of ways of getting water, extra water from places. And I think what we've done hopefully here is at least taken a more technically appropriate look at what the reality is and what the reality of going forward is in any of these paths, and whether in fact we can ever afford to do so. So my sense is this is pretty interesting to me because there are ways to solve it, but they certainly aren't easy to afford. And it may be that we just have to be innovative and look for other ways to get our water supply to be more robust at a little less costly endeavor. So I like this because it gives me an overview of maybe this is something that's not going to ever be easy to achieve, and we have to be very realistic about what we try to do in the future in this area. Although I'm not unwilling to look at some of these in more detail, like the direct potable water use, for example. But it'll be an interesting thing to work toward.
Yeah. No, thank you for your comments. John?
Yeah, very good point. Excuse me, I'm very interested Friday being in Watsonville with Aqua Region 5 meeting. Also, they have used a lot in artificial filters down there, reclaimed water. And I'm gonna just run a little bit by about because I'm curious about other crops too while we're down there, because plus there's not a lot of big crops left in our area anymore. Customer base, that's the key. Nurseries are, I don't know what's left in Monterey County down there now. So, but I'll bring that along in my mind Friday.
Are you gonna continue with your presentation? Because I have some comments I prepared. I think I'll wait until the end.
Wait? Okay.
Yeah, I think so, because when you like to hear the rest of the presentation.
Yeah, either way before.
Because I think she's done a great job.
Right.
with the summary.
So Waterworks went through the various options and came up with a ranking. They looked at cost criteria and they came up with 20-year life cycle costs, which include capital outlays plus the annual O&M costs. We also have some non-cost criteria that they looked at, including environmental and social impacts, ease of implementation and regulatory compliance, engineering, construction, operations, and climate resiliency. So with this chart, this chart shows the life cycle cost and and the ranking that Waterworks came up with. Basically, you're looking at a couple columns in terms of the key columns on this chart, besides the cost of capital, which can be quite high, as you'll see, any costs based on 2023 costs of $3.5 million to 66 million. But the other piece of this in looking at this is our coming into our delivered water column. And basically this says how much in the end after we make this investment could we expect to deliver water. This is 20 years worth of water. So in terms of fill stations are cost us $3.5 million to do for that, but it's not going to, over 20 years we sell 183 million gallons of water, so it's limited. And then you look at the column that says the net present worth of per million gallon. This is really a key piece because this is how much in today's cost, how much these options are would cost us in term. And so, the key points that the ones that show the lowest would be ocean colony, reservoir augmentation if we had a reservoir to augment, and direct potable reuse at 22,000 and 24,000 per million gallons. And one of the key points here is that the district's current cost of raw water from SFPUC is 7,000 a million a gallon. So just to give some reference in terms of the cost, this is not, this is something that is expensive to do. And something we need to be thinking about, but it is something we don't have easy solutions. We go to the next one. I threw in this chart. It's hard to see. I think the big thing, it just shows that from non-cost considerations, doing the fill station, landscape, or agricultural irrigation, those are the easy ones. Those are the easy things to do and where you can, that's why they're ranked. But it gets to the hard pieces of how much water are you really treating, and in the last column, weighted rank by produced waters. So you can go to the next. Our conclusions of the alternatives evaluated, Waterworks concluded that direct potable reuse is the most promising. It has potential to diversify the district's water supply portfolio. And right now, there are new regulations that have been enforced in California that promote direct potable reuse. And right now, you're seeing very large agencies. There are a number of pilot projects on direct potable reuse and in California. So it's the very big,
very large
agencies.
What is it? Yeah, I mean, the big guys, the normal big guys.
It's
with
paid
big
by-
budgets.
It's pretty much-
Yeah. And they're getting a lot of grant money.
Yeah.
That they have ways to deal with this. I mean, and they have the ability to get the funds. So
Yeah.
these are certainly things to consider.
Yeah, but the long term, the conclusion for us is that the district with SAM and other local agencies should consider direct potable reuse and long-term planning. I mean, it may not be something that we can do today, but 20 years from now, this may be something really viable that we need to be looking at, and we need to be working today toward potentially getting to that point for the community. So. We need to think about that today, and we're, with our facilities and certainly wastewater facilities as well. So my final thoughts, I hope. Waterworks said, they had a quote to be feasible, proposed recycled water projects need partners that want to collaborate with the district, and a reason to pursue the project, such as a policy or economic reason. So with us to make, this is staff, to make recycled water a reality on the Coastside will require collaboration with local stakeholders, which includes SAM and member agencies and other Coastside agencies, but also much broader stakeholders such as SFPUC, BOSCA, County of San Mateo, state and federal agencies to find the funding and support for recycled water on the Coastside.
So now,
Okay.
Okay.
so I was kind of taken aback by the process and a little bit taken aback by the results, because of course I'm an optimist, and so I was always, hopeful. There's got to be some real light at the end of the tunnel. So when we first got the report back, kind of preliminary information, I was sort of disappointed because the hydrogeology, there were two features to it that disappointed me. One was I felt like it kind of precluded so many of the optional things that really wouldn't benefit us, currently, our current customers. It might benefit the whole coastal community, might benefit the environment, might benefit the state of California, the marine sanctuary. These are important things, but how does a little agency finance that? How do we pay for that? Those are big costs for things that's pretty hard to convince our customers of benefits. And so I felt a little bit disappointed there because we kind of got to a lot of the summary statements before we really got to understand the hydrogeology. And I thought that the RU group was very warm and fuzzy. And then all of a sudden we just got all this stuff, but we got it with conclusions. And what was interesting to me in their report is that we don't really have, there are so many myths that got debunked in this study. And that's where I see the real value, because we don't have a combined aquifer on the coast. We all think there's this one big pot of water that sits under the coast from Devil's Slide to wherever we want to stop. And it isn't like that according to them. There's really not a recharge basin that we have as a possibility. So it's good to know that, because you sit in meetings with the people that don't have the science, and everyone's got an idea. Oh yeah, we'll take the water and we'll treat it up and we'll pour it into Torrecitos Creek. We'll take the creek water. There are all these ideas. And these mounting equations aren't really these discussions of how water that we would recharge would actually mound up and not go back to the ocean or be in a cleansed condition where we could draw it back. That's a really important conclusion. It's not necessarily consistent, according to one of our consulting engineers, with our hydrological model. So there is a reason someday to look more carefully at that, to try to understand that. There are some assumptions that were made in the study that may need to be studied. There are some supply source assumptions that may not be perfect. There are reasons to go a little bit further. One of the interesting things is potable wells in our area have to go 50 feet deep, or if they go 50 feet deep, they need a sanitary seal to protect other people who are drawing water out of that location. But if you drill shallower wells, they're actually get a waiver because they're not really wells, they're harvesting surface water. So if you're drilling under 50 feet in the 30 to 50 foot range, you actually have a lot of environmental requirements that are no longer required. So what I found interesting is maybe there's a real different strategy for how wells are drilled. And maybe there's a whole bunch of little shallow ones instead of this idea of a big deep well and connecting with a big aquifer. So it's kind of interesting to think about, because in the description, these aquifers that we do have are only about 30 to 50 feet deep. So that's kind of a wild idea. I've always talked to local well drillers. Oh, we'll go deep, we'll go to 1,500 and really tap, the water. And we have a really different condition than that. The other thing that I found, sort of on a disappointing side was almost everything that is simply given credit for as information comes out of the Todd report, which we, by the way, hired and had done a long time ago, 2003, been sitting on the shelf. And so I feel remiss. I wish that I just, prior to saying, yeah, Rue, let's go with Rue, pulled the Todd report off and read it, because it was a wonderful report and it really does describe our local conditions much better than what we got in the Rue report, because a lot of what they did was just refer to the Todd report as their scientific information. And I think that that's one of the things that I felt bad about being on the committee, because what I realized is sometimes 20 years pass and you don't really remember, and you don't go back and utilize the information they already have. It's really valuable. And maybe the additional study is helpful, but maybe you didn't really need it. So maybe the consulting people looking at our options might have worked off the Todd report. save money. I don't know about that, but those are the things that go through my mind on a committee because we're spending, customer resources. I think that what blew me away was just this list of per acre foot cost. What really amazes me is that this recycle, this direct water reuse, this however we deal with it, whatever option we look at, is so expensive. And the idea that I would add to that is, if you'd have told me we were going to spend $11 million on a cement tank in my tenure on the board, I'd have told you were crazy. All right, but here we are. And guess what? We're going to spend on 2 more tanks for 1 more tank. I mean, there's a lot of money. When we decided to do Denniston, $7 million, I thought you're nuts. So I don't think we can be short-sighted by money. I think we have to be sober about it because it's real money. But in 50 years, I don't know if it's real money or not, because what will SFPUC be charging us in 50 years? We don't know, and we don't control that. And we do control local water. And if there's one local water source that we have, it's what we're pumping into the ocean. It may not be water in the condition that we're interested in, but there is science and there is engineering and there are ways to manage that. I think we have a great opportunity coming up, if my understanding is correct, in that there's going to be a lot of work done at SAM at the plant. So I think it'd be really good if we were in there at the ground floor talking about what we may someday want or need. So what I like about this is all the crazy pie in the sky ideas have been debunked. And the ones that are really valuable end up being the cheapest of the series. I mean, direct potable reuse is the second cheapest water that we can accomplish out of recycled water. So I think the conclusion of the report is dead on. I think Kathleen put it the best. It's direct potable reuse. And all these other ideas are interesting, but given our limited resources, unless we're interested in really fighting for direct potable resource, I think we get to just go, looked at it, studied it, hired really qualified people that have done the recycling. And we've seen their work. John went on a tour of the recycle plant at the golf course in Menlo Park. So the one thing I do feel good about is it's pretty exhaustive. There's lots of doors still open, and we certainly have a very knowledgeable consulting engineering firm, EKI. They know our system so well that I think if we were going to do anything further or take any other steps, we should go about working with them because they would understand what it would take to integrate it. And so I think a whole bunch of noise gets to be put on the shelf right next to the time report. And I just hope that there's a little beeper on the screen that if anybody goes, hey, let's talk recycle water, it's Todd report, Waterworks report, Waterworks. And we remember to pull out these reports because they're not inexpensive.
As you mentioned briefly, and also general management, it's timing right now, I believe, here in the next year or two with the treatment plant's going to need some major upgrades. So we have to not just think the next 20 years, I think we have to look at the next 2 or 3, because that thing falls in the ocean, we're in big trouble.
Okay, thank you. I think a couple of you did I would agree in that it's something we needed to do. Sadly, it's going to sit on that shelf. But now at least we have answers. I know we get asked about it periodically. What about recycling? It sounds easy. It sounds easy, but now we know it's not. And I can confirm the number. It's doing simple math here. It's 3.4x of SFPUC water. I heard a very similar number. It was expressed in acre feet at my most recent Bosco meeting. So it's cost prohibitive right now. It's energy intensive. There are emerging technologies out there, maybe some of us might still be 20. I mean, how many more elections do we have? I don't know. Can you got a lot in you? Do you say I got four or five more? So yeah, I guess we do need to remain optimistic that there are emerging technologies out here that will make this feasible. I don't operate under the assumption that SFPUC is ever going to go to zero. We'll always get some amount of water. It'll never be zero. So how much we get 20 years from now, I don't know. Will this price be attractive 20 years from now? I'm not sure. And then I've touched on emerging technologies. What would further drive this, coming from a state level, is that sewer plant losing their discharge permit, I mean. That would get them off the dime. Maybe they would stop suing each other. They've been in litigation for how many years? They can't even play nicely. The next court date is next summer. So how would anybody in their right mind partner with an agency that's up to their necks in litigation? So, and that's just a sad state that we have absolutely no control. So maybe when we perfect nuclear fusion, we'll have an abundant source of energy, and we can desal to heart's content. We can recycle to our heart's content. But until then, we are married to PG&E. I just signed a check. As president, I have the authority to sign the check. I believe it was $80,000 to PG&E. And PG&E, as every single one of our customers knows, is only go. And they are the monopoly. They're the definition of monopoly. But we did our part. We looked at it, and you're right. We have to remain optimistic. Otherwise, we shouldn't be. But that's another day. Thank you.
So this goes on the shelf. No, it goes on the shelf next to the tide, but that was then and this is now. 20 years ago was 20 years ago. Things change. You never know. It's worth, we did due diligence. We have a pretty exhaustive report. I learned a lot just by reading the thing. It brought a lot of things home to me that I really wasn't that clear on. And so I think it was worthwhile effort. And I'm glad that we did it. And now I have something that I can point to and say, look, I've done some due diligence recently, and this is what we have learned. And we think this has to be taken into account wherever we go and whatever we do. And number two, this goes into the public record, right? So it'll be online. I mean, it'll be able to be gotten by people, and we should even make some effort to get it to the right people. Here as a product that we put out for them to see and read, not let them find it, but aggressively make sure they know we've done this. So I don't know how you would do that, but that would be nice.
That's for mine.
Okay.
Never keep going.
Okay. That was just a receipt. Okay. Jeffrey, you are up.
Right.
We've been spending it. Now we got to find out where to get it from.
Yes, that's right. Thank you all. Tonight, we're recommending to the board that you authorize the general manager to an agreement with D.A. Davidson and Company for underwriting services related to the grants of the district's targeted pre-stressed concrete tank and seismic project in the amount of $41,608, which assumes a par amount of $8 million. And just to briefly explain that last part of the sentence, if we were to adjust the amount that we're financing with the help of D.A. Davidson, if you choose to go with our recommendation, their fees will change to the tune of $3.75 for every $1,000 of change in the par. So if we went
$3.75?
Yeah, $3.75. So if we went to $9 million from $8 million, it would cost us an additional $3,750 with these folks. So as the staff report indicates, if we choose to go with a public offering, these folks will play a key role in that process. And what that key role at a high level, they'll price the securities, they'll effectively buy them, market them to investors. So they take on a lot of the risk in the process. And again, they'll market them for us. And then our financial advisor will work with these guys to price it appropriately, right? Not just to sell, but to lower our costs, our interest costs. So we did an RFP back in late July. Mary and I worked with our financial advisor, Brand Smith, in assessing the responses to the RFP. Grant had recommended and ranked DA Davidson at the highest of the four. And Mary and I agree with that assessment. One of the key things was Mary talked to the North Coast Water District about their experience with DA Davidson. They did a $20 million offer with a similar structure to what we're envisioning, and it went really well. The reference from North Coast was glowing. And so with all that considered and the details of the responses to the RFP, we feel comfortable recommending DA Davidson. And similar to what we've talked about with other providers who will help us if we go with a public offering, these folks' fees are contingent upon the successful completion of the bond sale. So for now, that's really the gist of our report. Clearly, if you have any questions or comments, we welcome them.
Think of North Coast, I see when I pass by there, they got quite an investment going for their headquarters.
Yeah.
This is the 20 million
20 million.
finance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions?
No, we had a meeting today, Finance Committee, and we just think that Jeffrey and Mary doing a great job, and the group that, you know, keep coming up before us seem like they have our best interest in heart. And I mean, I think all the recommendations have been great. I think the financial consultant was fantastic, and I would really say, yeah, support the motion for sure. I'm happy to make the motion.
Yeah, please do.
I'd like to authorize general manager to enter into an agreement with DA Davidson and Company for underwriting services related to the financing of the district's Carter Hill pre-stressed concrete tank and seismic project. Say that 3 times fast. In the amount of $41,608, which assumes a par amount of $8 million. And I should make a comment to that.
I'll second it, and just a brief comment, I'll get back to the maker of the motion. But you know, this is an investment for the next 50 years, and it doesn't cost, it pays at this point. And you never know where our federal government's going to be going, but hopefully they're going to realize that it's very important for us to have infrastructure in place and financing is needed. And we sure don't have the money in the bank, but this will help us get to the future of our water district.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ken. Did you?
Well, I just like the flexibility in the par, having it tied to the par amount. You know, who knows how it'll end up.
Yeah. Okay, I believe we can go to a vote then.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Muller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
President Michelson.
Yes. Thank you. So next item is going to be about our siphons. I believe, are they done?
They're basically done.
Yeah.
Actually, we received this update from SFPUC. They're being implemented. Darren went up and witnessed. You have any comments about them?
Yeah, I actually spoke to some of the SFPUC staff and they were doing some training on them, I believe, today. So they are operational.
Any pictures?
Mary,
Yeah, one picture.
Well,
I do have more.
yeah, I was kind of going over the dam. I was looking for something like actually over.
It's actually not going over the dam, it's going through the spillway.
Oh, it is? Okay.
So
they
it's
bore through the spillway. Okay.
To Glenn's question, and that was mine too, originally, is are we going over the spillway or through it? That helps a lot with the performance of the siphons, obviously.
Yeah, because there are only so many feet you can draw from.
That's correct.
So we saved that by going over. We can
Yeah.
a smaller depth hole.
Yeah, and I believe the picture in the report there shows it going through the slide gate at the bottom.
Okay, that's what that is. In the back. Okay, so thanks for the clarification. Cool.
How is the road getting up there?
It's still challenging. I think they're planning to pave it this week. The large repair, the repair's complete, but it's still rough.
But you were able to drive all the way up.
Yes, sir. They have a crane, they had a crane, the day I was there, they had a crane installing the siphons out into the lake itself. Oh, good.
If I may ask a quick question
Yeah.
of our staff, are they access to the dam on Skyline or coming off of 92 up our way?
You can access it both ways.
I knew
By
that.
driving through the skyline.
But the construction's mostly access through San Bruno then, huh?
Through Skyline, yeah, through the
Cemetery.
Skyline Cemetery, yeah.
Because I see they've been doing a lot of paving up at the cemetery too.
Yeah,
But I
that's
don't know,
has
I'm
a
just saying that
bunch of trail
they're
projects.
spending money up at the cemetery for sure.
Well, good. So that is timely and yeah, we were talking about earlier at the North well field, so this will all work hand in hand. So thank you for that. And monthly report?
Derek.
Yeah, I had to try to make this quick. All right, so we have the district staff has completed the lead and copper inventory. And quick history on that, in 2021, the EPA introduced the lead and copper rule revisions that the public water system must comply with starting October 16th, 2024, outlined the lead and copper improvement proposal. These requirements include the initial service line inventory of the entire district. So every single service got looked at. Not one lead service was found. Therefore, we do not have to do any reporting along that. So it was a very, very big task. Happy to say we're done with it.
So what era was lead installed? I mean, do you know?
In California, I'm not sure. I think this is more based towards the East Coast companies.
Yeah, that's the problem. We get federal regulations. They built their infrastructure far earlier than we did. And
One way to characterize this is that Burlingame has plenty of lead services. And some their early developments before kind of around World War I, kind of phased out after World War II. So it was such a small percentage of our community that it's a very small percentage of West Coast installs, but we certainly have it in California and in the Bay Area.
yeah, no, I thought, no, East Bay must have. Yeah, so it's nice. We got a free pass on that one. Yeah. Thank you.
So EKI always calibrating the hydraulic modeling for us, did quite a few fire flows along with fire, brought them on board with that. 60% set of plans for the Pillar Pseudos Canyon repairs, including the culvert repairs. SCADA computers, all new SCADA computers at the district now. So the Main Street, Nunes Water Treatment Plant, Denison Water Treatment Plant, Crystal Springs Pump Station. At Nunes Water Treatment Plant, we went back onto the old set basin after inspecting it and draining it, and come to find out that thing's been running for 15 years straight. So we'll have a little repairs to do on it, but it's still working. So that's great. We did lose the Pillar Pseudos reservoir flow this month and switched all the way to 100% Crystal Springs water at Nunes. So,
Hence the big bill.
yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. That brings us to the conclusion of our public session. Take a small break before we go into closed session.
Let's go into closed session and take a break.
Yeah.
How about that? There's no directors, agenda items, requests for future board meetings. That's the bottom of the agenda.
None, hearing none.
All right, so if I will take us into closed session, it's now 8:05. The board is going to convene into closed session for two items under item 9. Conference with legal
Thanks, Aaron.
counsel, existing litigation, pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection B1. Name of the case, Coastside County Water District versus Mary Alice Cozolino, trustee of the James and Alice Cozolino Trust, et al., case number 24-CIV-05456. Second item is another conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection B1. Name of the case, Coastside County Water District versus James Salvador Cozolino, a married man, as his sole and separate property, and Linda Jean Cozolino, a single woman, tenants in common, et al., case number 24-CIV-05502. I think we can now convene into closed session.
Recording stopped.
We're going to stop. Thank you.
Take your break.
You don't want to break or want to
Keep going.
We want to hear.